Hello everyone, welcome to Fableheim and Age of Wonders 4, an open beta for the upcoming Griffon update. This is the free update that will accompany the Archon Prophecy DLC releasing on August 12th, and it is that time, once again, where we get to read through a whole bunch of patch notes. So the TLDR on this first post is just that they are opening an open beta on Steam only, covering the changes that will be accompanying the DLC. This update doesn't have many big reworks like the Tiger Ogre update, but there's a ton of new random features, including flaws, the hero class updates, including the brand new Warlock class, extra faction data, and AI starting bonuses. And with the open beta, they're trying to achieve two things. The primary one is open betas allow them to gather a lot of information regarding stability, and this helps out the modding community get a bit of a head start on making sure that their mods are compatible with the upcoming release. There is a whole thread in the open beta discussions. I'll leave a link to all the open beta posts down below if you'd like to read them for yourself. And again, they're looking for stability, modding, and balance changes. They're open to making balance changes that focus on the extreme imbalances that need to be tackled as soon as possible, but they need to be known and implemented before Friday the 25th. For the most part, it's very difficult for them to make major changes for balance, but it's very easy for them to tweak like numbers and whatnot. So that is basically what you need to know. Again, if you want to read all this for yourself, I'll leave a link in the description. But here's what we're really here for. Not this one. This is an update to the beta already. Here's what we're here for. The open beta patch notes. Here we go. Grab yourself a drink and possibly some popcorn. Let's see what we're working with here. So, quality of life multi-stack movement. Select up to 6 stacks and give them a combined move order. Units will try to end their turn as close as possible to the stack leader or maintain the same movement type. This dark orange move path will show where each stack will end their turn. Interesting. Up to 6 stacks while holding shift or pressing the right joystick. View armies information and give orders in the movement group panel. Armies will try to end their turn as close to the stack leader as possible. Armies will try to end their turn in the same terrain as the stack leader. A new army group movement tutorial has been added to the movement tutorial. So what I'm actually most curious about this is cool, great. Will the AI use this? Or are they still going to do like move individual units and restack them? I don't know. This could be really funny though. Notification updates. Added a notification setting interface where you can disable notifications you do not wish to receive. Ooh. Okay. Can we change the order in which we receive them so that I don't have to say, oh, I should have cast this first? That'd be nice. Rework diplomatic notifications to take you to a smaller confirmation screen with the option to go to the full diplomacy interface or go back into the game instead of forcibly taking you to the full screen diplomacy screen for every notification. That's a good change. Shop Arrival, Hero Destiny, Free City Meet, and Player Defeated Other events are now notifications rather than opening automatically. Okay. Cool. Removed several notifications when entering an infestation's domain. An evil presence lingers here. When completing a city upgrade, when hurrying the production of that upgrade, and a number of diplomatic notifications that you would receive directly after taking that action. This is good. Call to War accepted / decline notification if you manually accepted / declined. Now only shows if done automatically. Okay, good. Less things to right click. Quality of life persistent forged weapons. What? There is now a small chance that items you made in the item forge show up in future sessions as rewards. The items save whenever you finish a session. Your Pantheon has space for storing 50 items. The items are generated when you start a session. Then during the session, when a reward set wants to give you a generated item, we check if the item matches the conditions and then runs a random roll to decide if you get one. The items are only handed out to human control players and can only be handed out once. Interesting. I wonder... I'm immediately thinking of ways to abuse this. Okay. I mean, very clearly there are some items that would be great to create, like the army trainer, the world map regeneration, the experience gain increase, like little trinkets that are annoying to craft but are very handy. Could be great things to make. Usually when it comes to like weapons, You try and specify it for whatever you're doing, right? But this could be great. New content Pantheon. 3 banner items, 2 ruler helmets, 4 Giant King exclusive customization options. Very nice. 7 item forge infusions. Okay. Passive Fearless, usable on non-wand miscellaneous items. 1 infusion point, requires 1 Rainbow Clover. I don't remember what Fearless does. Active ability Bless, usable on wands and support staff. 1 infusion point, 1 Archon Blood. Innate Spelljammer? Oh no. Usable on non-wand miscellaneous items. 4 infusion points. 1 Astral Tool, 1 Silver Tongue, 1 Shrink Pool. Wow, that's going to be super annoying in PvP, probably. Inner Grace for shield items. Ooh, 2 infusion points, Archon Blood, Arcanium, whatever. Mirror Veil on shield items, 2 infusion points. We might be making shields. Mutually exclusive with all other reflection passives. That makes sense. Active ability Overcharge Spell. Okay, usable on wands, miscellaneous items, and support staffs. 3 infusion points. So that lets you cast a second spell. Which version is it, though? Is it the 1 AP or the 3 AP one? I guess the end of the day doesn't matter too much. Passive Greater Farsight, usable on non-wand miscellaneous items, 2 infusion points, 1 focus crystal. Okay. 1 new society trait, Astrological Diviners. Every 10th turn, your units gain a line starts, granting plus 100% critical hit chance. Huh? Non-hero units drafted, recruited, or summoned during a 10th turn permanently gain Born Under the Stars, granting a 20% critical hit damage bonus. Okay. Non-hero units. Wow. I'm never going to remember how to use this. City structures and special province movements completed during a 10th turn grant 100 knowledge. Okay. I wonder what, this is probably Astral, right? Could be Astral Shadow, I guess. Oh no, they only have one thing. So it'd be Astral probably, if I had to guess. That could be really funny. I don't know if this is good, but it's funny. Features, new content, Flaws. I'm very excited for this. Flaws and Inner Radiance. Flaws are a new type of form trait that introduce meaningful drawbacks to your form. Unlike typical traits, flaws add points rather than costing them when selected, allowing you to invest more into strengths elsewhere. I wonder how many of these we can pick. Anyway, flaw. Vulnerable to physical is -1 defense, incompatible with tough. Oh, okay. Flaw. Vulnerable to magic, -1 resistance, incompatible with resistance. Flaw. Uncooperative, 10% chance to fumble attacks while adjacent to a friendly unit, incompatible with defensive tactics, pack tactics, and overwhelming tactics. Flaw. Careless, -1 defense, -1 resistance in defense mode, incompatible with bulwark. Flaw. Weak constitution, 50% less strategic healing. Ooh. Incompatible with fast recuperation. Flaw. Coward. Morale loss is increased by 25%, incompatible with cheer blood and cold blooded. Okay. And the last thing is, it's not a flaw. It's Inner Radiance, which is of course incompatible with Inner Fire, Frost, Lightning, and Poisonous, and gives +3 spirit resistance, and melee attackers sustain 3 spirit damage. I think the most interesting part of the flaws is their incompatibilities, which makes sense, right? You can't really be vulnerable to physical damage while also being tough. That doesn't make sense logically. But it also introduces some amusing limitations. I wonder if this is more of a test than anything, because my guess is these all take 1 point and give you 1 point. So if you take a flaw, your maximum thing is 6 instead of 5. Did the music stop? Hello? Nope. We're enjoying Age of Wonders 3 music again. Okay. This could be really fun. I'm eager to play around with us. New content, Hero Classes. Magic hero classes are getting their themes and mechanics split up to create new classes that more effectively covered their associated themes. These changes increase the variety of mage-type heroes that show up during the game, and improve replayability, the most important part of that sentence. So, the Elementalist is a complete rework of the mage hero class. The Elementalist is focused on magical damage, setting up attacks, or delivering the killing blow with powerful abilities. The Elementalist heroes choose a discipline that determines the element of their abilities. An Elementalist can learn to tap into the elemental planes and call forth their spirits. A little vague, but this is confirmed what we suspected, which is, of course, the mage is just not the Elementalist. The Ritualist also received a complete rework, focusing more on the full support and druidry angle. The Ritualist is now a nature-based support class with many healing and utility abilities. The utility Ritualist heroes choose whether they focus on offense or defensive crowd control, and the support Ritualist heroes choose whether to focus on slow area coverage or quick single target improvements. Alright. They already had something like this with their, the plant summon thing, and created a new Warlock hero class. Warlocks are debuff and undead experts. Cursed Warlocks focus on using powerful debuffs to weaken their opponent. Sorry, it feels like the music is just not playing. But it is? What if we just, there we go. Sorry. Necromancy Warlocks focus, empower undead summons they raise during battle. Okay. I mean, I'm excited to play a Warlock. New feature, the extra faction data. Isn't there another class coming too? The Battle Saint or something? We're expanding faction creation with a new advanced settings menu to give players more control over how their custom factions behave when controlled by the AI. This feature is designed for players who want a more consistent and immersive experience, particularly when playing in worlds where their own custom factions show up. Oh joy, things for me to further obsess over. The advanced section setting in the finalized screen in faction menu. Move personality settings to the advanced setting menu. Added city names list space for 20 city names. These city names are used when founding new cities of your race or migrating to your race. Okay. I gotta be honest, I'm not sure how hard I'll go on this, but I'll add a few probably. Added the hero library space for 15 heroes. Oh no. Allows for visual, name, loadout, ambition, and governor trait customization. Okay, these heroes are always part of your race, form, culture, etc. Created heroes replace the unaffiliated heroes in your recruit pool. Wait. Is this for the AI, right? Or is this for me? Created heroes replace the unaffiliated. I hope this is for me too. Added tome pathing. Determine the tomes for your rulers when played by AI rulers. First tome is always based on the tome creation in your creation flow. Normal tone restrictions applied. Ooh. Okay. I gotta be honest, part of the fun, part of the amusement, I should say, is watching the AI completely derail what your character is supposed to be. Like the peaceful Grimgore. That was a while ago now. But, that always cracks me up. New feature, AI Strategic Bonus. AI Strategic Bonuses are a way of giving selected AI players tailored early game bonuses. These are designed to help them scale faster and apply pressure sooner, making each playthrough feel more tense, risky, and unpredictable. AI starting bonus to the advanced realm setting. Strategic bonuses include additional cities and units, advanced tone progression, starting heroes, and ruler level. You can select predefined packages or set custom values for yourself. AI starting bonus are saved per slot in the custom realm, and AI rulers with predefined tomes, heroes, and names and associated starting bonuses will make use of the customized content. Okay, so this is kind of like being able to create your own presence trait. Alrighty. This gives me a lot of ideas. I don't know if they're good ideas, but I am intrigued. New feature, combat difficulty. We're introducing combat difficulty as a replacement for handicaps, okay? These profiles change the behavior and difficulty of the combat AI to make tactical combat feel more balanced, dynamic, and satisfying. Difficulty can be selected for rulers, free cities, and marauders independently. So the handicaps were... It was minus 30, minus 15, 0, plus 15, plus 30%, just like a flat stat increase across the board. So there's Forgiving, Challenging, which is the default, and Challenging Plus. So that reminds me of Critical Plus. I just had a nightmare. So Forgiving is less focused on killing off low health enemy units, less focused on optimal unit positioning, less intelligent unit targeting, and free city/players. At the start of combat, the AI moves its units forward in formation until at least 10% of its army is within 6 hexes of their nearest enemy unit. Marauders, at the start of combat, exits cautious approach immediately. They just run it down. Challenging, this is the default setting. Focuses on killing off low health units. I remember when they made one of the AI changes. Oh, I don't remember which patch this was. It was a while ago now. But the AI just like, it stopped hitting low health units. I had several units that were at like 10 health and they just lived because the AI was like, whatever. Picks safest positioning for ranged units. Melee units prefer to stand on the front line. Lowered priority for targeting summoned units. That's a good change. For free citizen players, at the start of combat, the AI moves its units forward in formation until at least 60% of its army is within 6 hexes of their nearest enemy unit. And for Marauders, at the start of combat, the AI moves its units forward in formation until at least 10% of its army is within 6 hexes of the nearest enemy units. Okay. And for Challenging Plus is the same thing as Challenging. However, it deals 20% more damage and receives 20% less damage. So it's basically a handicap. Okay. Sure. Well, it's an interesting approach. I hope it goes well. Updates to the AI. Changed how AI is affected by the city cap. AI is now allowed to exceed the cap by an X amount of cities based on difficulty. Good. Let them cheat. Added support for the AI to focus more on magical material sets when expanding, and added support for the AI to receive different quest types, destroy spawners, destroy houses, and grow city. Oh. I want a grow city quest. Added support for the AI to replace existing SPI. That's good. Equipment trading with other AI will now decrease the value as you continue to keep trading. Over time, the value of equipment will return to normal. Oh, so I can't just spam free money. Fair enough. Combat AI. Reduced chance of AI choosing to stand on negative markers such as poison. Don't stand in the fire. Increase the chance of AI choosing to stand on positive markers such as lucky. AI will now rotate units that face the wrong way before putting the unit into defense mode. AI can now use Marked for Death, Abducting Cyclone, Conjure Astral Ward, and Emergency Teleportation properly. Can it, though? Can it? The AI now knows how to deal with the Umbral Ramblings combat effect. Oh, that's nice. That's the, if you stand next to each other, you can go insane. AI now prefers spells that are the most cost-effective, rather than just the most effective. Fair. Optimize AI behavior of unit summoning abilities to reduce auto-combat duration. Optimize AI behavior of unit attack abilities that always hit to reduce auto-combat duration. Fair enough. Art. Updated the Arctic City Sprawl for every culture so it doesn't look untextured. Good. Actually, this update would come in like an update for the Giant Kings thing, but that's okay. Better late than never. Reworked which mounted units get horse armor. Every mounted culture unit besides scouts should get it. Excellent. There was actually a mod that added cultural horse armor. Wonder if that'll be now obsolete. Improved the particle effects on the Watcher abilities by Zappy Boy. Polished generic Hero Orbs visual effects. Hero Obs visual effects? Sure. Polished the Lightbringer's Convert ability VFX. New accurate TML icon. Updated accuracy iconography in hero skill icons. The Eldritch Magical Spikes effect timing was aligned with floating damage numbers. Cool. Magical Wards visual update. Nice. Combat. Spells and abilities that have both a positive and negative effects will now show both red and green targeting hexes to better indicate where positive or negative effects apply. Nice. If an ability only removes 1 or 2 debuffs and is used on a mind control unit, mind control is always removed first. Thank you. Excellent. Oh, that might be the best change I've read so far. When a unit is reactivated using abilities like Killing Momentum, it will lose any movement bonuses that affect charge attacks. Aww. It is now possible for units to be linked to multiple times. What? For units to be linked to multiple times, meaning that one link between 2 units will no longer be cancelled by a different unit linking to either unit. Do they stack? One link between units will no longer be cancelled by a different unit linking to either unit. I'm going to have to test that. Aren't we getting a new link, too? For the Architect culture? That could be devastatingly strong. A unit can now taunt multiple enemy units at once. Nice. Throwing attacks now lose 25% accuracy at long range at 15. Aww. Buffs, debuffs, slash list. Fair enough. Buff Lifesteal now heals per attack rather than per unit hits. Isn't that a nerf? That sounds like a nerf. Per attack rather than per unit hit. So if you swing with like a cleave, it'll only heal for a single shot. So it'll heal 10 instead of, like, for example, 15 if you hit 3 units. Okay. Buff Grace now triggers if a unit is damaged via Warding Bond or similar effects. Okay. Buff Zeal changed from doubling the Zeal damage bonus against condemned units to increasing damage the unit deals by 10% against condemned units? No. Hey. No. This didn't need a buff. I'm trying to think. I think on an average spread, this is about the same amount of damage. Because it goes from 2 to 4, right? If you attack a condemned unit, it's +2 spirit damage normally, +4 if you hit a condemned unit. And for the most part, this is going to be roughly the same bonus. But there are going to be outliers that just Oonga Boonga this into oblivion. Okay. Buff Static Charge now has increased effects when applied to single shot abilities. Fantastic. Now affects all attacks. Nice. Debuff Wet. Reduce resistance from -4 lightning, -4 frost, 2 fire to -2 lightning, -2 frost, 2 fire. So they nerfed Wet. Okay, it was very powerful with the Tome of Stormborn. We'll see. Debuff Decaying has been reworked. Now stacks up to 4 times, deals 3 blight damage per stack, reduces healing received by 25% up to 100% at 4 stacks, and can now be countered by regeneration. Round of applause. Thank you. This is now my favorite change. This is now my favorite change. Decaying was the most frustrating debuff to play against. Fantastic change. Combat map. Web obstacles are now ignored by units with Swift, as the property would imply. Fantastic. So, slowing markers are now ignored by shock units with Swift when using charge attacks. Cool. Reduce foliage near combat deployment zones in various nature maps. Also, pretty cool. I've had a few spawns in the Blint campaign. It's about to reach its end, where it's just like I'm surrounded by these little piles of bushes ruining my poor Animus trying to meet up with the team. And now for some cultural changes. I don't expect much here, but let's see what we're working with. The unit War Shaman now has Kindle Resolve. A free action, range 3, target friendly unit loses 2 negative status effects and gains 10 morale. Unit Fury Shurtbow damage increased from 10 to 12. Did the Barbarians need a buff? Am I... Okay. Sure. No, that's great. Dark. The Dark Warrior increased hit points from 60 to 70. Okay. Sure. This is their tier 1 little boyo. Industrious. The world map gameplay prospecting. You can now prospect provinces that are owned by other rulers/factions, and prospecting is now tracked on a per-player basis rather than for the whole sector. Not gonna lie, I was hoping there'd be like a... We now auto-prospect if you're an auto-explorer. One day. One day we'll have the technology. The Mystic Culture. The unit Summoners. This is just for the summoning people. Spirit Summon. Replaces Spirit Hawk with Lesser Light Spirit as the Order Affinity Summon. You know what? That tracks. Reaver. Please get a counter retaliation attack. Dragoon. Can now use attacks after being affected by refresh abilities like Command and Killing Momentum. Can now retaliate after triggering Master Skirmisher. Thank you. Thank you. We're so back. I just finished playing the Reavers, and this is like the most annoying thing about them. I'm not sure if they'll be good still, but but they're better now. The Oathsworn Strife, the unit Warbound Bulldoze can no longer be used while immobilized. Okay. That was definitely a bug, so... Those are all the cultural changes. There weren't much, but I think all in all, they were pretty good. So, of actions. Added new pre-made factions. Taylor Rupsta Lithil, Wizard King, is now added upon the completion of Greg Solis, and Mayantor, ER version, is now added upon the completion of Arcolots. ER version. Okay, we haven't done either of those story realms yet. Magic classes can now choose any default orb or staff instead of solely the culture. Good. Giant Kings are now rare by default in realm creation. Okay. Society traits. Oh, are they nerfing Subterranean Society? Now starts a surface player with a nearby underground passage. Oh. Going Subterranean Society on a surface, or on the surface, feels a little strange. I'm not going to lie, but sure. Free City. Vassals now share their magical materials from Transmutation Circle with their Overlord. Ooh. Okay. Alright. Heroes. Regular heroes can no longer be generated with Pantheon customization items. That makes sense. I've had a few heroes with like the Gaudier crown, and I judged them heavily for it. Non-player races stick to one list of faction customization items instead of randomizing. Non-player races stick to one list of faction customization. Okay, sure. The Ambition and Renown system. This system will now avoid generating heroes with ambitions and governance types that cannot function due to realm traits. Thank you. No more. What's it called? The Aquatic Governor? On my land realm? Please, no more. The Instructor Ambition no longer triggers if a unit is created in the hero's army that starts with bonus ranks. You could cheese it that way? Man. Renowned levels 2, 3, and 4 no longer give extra morale to the army. That's fair. That's really fair. Death Knight. Hex of Decay now is guaranteed to inflict decaying, and Raise Undead now has a 2-turn cooldown, and change from single action to leave 1 point. Ooh. Okay. They can do this in Zone of Control, right? Because then you just have a shock Death Knight that runs up, raises something, and then smacks. That could be fun to explore. Warrior. All charge skills now only trigger their bonus if the hero has moved at least 1 hex before they use a charge attack. You know what? That's probably a good idea. Brutal Charge changed from inflicting thunder defense to a 90% chance to inflict stunned. Relentless Charge changed from inflicting guaranteed immobilized to inflict 2 thunder defense. Taunting Charge changed from guaranteed taunt to a 90% chance to inflict taunted. Greater Vigor replaced with Vigor. Greater Defense replaced with Defense. Remove the link between Greater Defense and Graceful Charge, and remove the link between Greater Vigor and Brutal Parry. Are these nerfs? Are they nerfing Warrior? I think the link removal is probably a buff. The stun, the Brutal Charge stunning is a buff, and I think the other things are all nerfs. Interesting. Okay. Affinity skills. Condemning Strikes, renamed to Zealous. Now only gives Zeal the chance to apply Condemn on attacks was removed. It was a little strong, I will admit. But I feel like now it's a little weak. Oh, we'll see. Withering Decay now is guaranteed to apply Decaying. Okay, that's better. Better both for like the skill and for just like general gameplay now that they've changed the Decaying works. Dragon Lord, the signature skill Ancient of Earth, reduced the damage increase from 30% to 20%. Rest in peace. Let's all be honest, it needed it. Ancient of Earth was far and above the best Elder skill, or Paragon skill, whatever it is. But still, it hurts. Hurts a little bit. Eldritch Sovereign. The Tome of Pestilence Rot Away now applies 4 Decaying. Alright, and the signature skill Ancient One reduced the damage increase from 30% to 20%. Again, in line with the Dragon Lords. Still kind of sad, but hey. Giant Kings. Giant weapons, giant axe and obelisk weapons no longer have single shot. Really? Huh. Signature skill Ancient of Earth, damage reduced again from 30% to 20%. The axe and the obelisk no longer have single shot. But aren't they single shot weapons? So, So unless the weapon type is changing, which I don't think it is, Basically, this is just saying they function the same, but they aren't gaining the benefit of having a single shot multiplier. Alright, sure. It is one way to nerf them, I guess. Infestations. All infestations now have a new relation component that allows them to be neutral towards players. Really? Relation? Oh, this is like Planetfall. In Planetfall, I don't think all of them did this, but there were kind of like neutral wildlife things that you could befriend. I call them wildlife, but they're kind of like, they're sort of like dwellings, kind of. Interesting. Neutral infestations show a white infestation zone border. Infestations do not attack or pillage province improvements from the player they're neutral to. Armies are not blocked from regenerating hit points while within a neutral infestation zone. Attacking a neutral infestation will permanently make the infestation hostile to the player again. Added a new neutrality concept for infestations, which is mentioned in the infestation concept itself, which explains that what it means when an infestation has become neutral towards you, and how certain infestations can become neutral or lose neutrality. Infestations placed through the effect of a spell are now neutral to the player. This affects Insight Rebellion and Umbral Incursion. Okay. I wonder what this change is about. Like, is there a deeper layer to this, or do they just not want every infestation to be rampaging through the world map? I don't know. We'll see. Interface. Okay. An option to disable telemetry, an option to disable the intro movie. Ooh. Nice. A button to delete individual saves from a session in the load game screen. Updated the form and culture filtering in the advanced realm setting to be more scalable and future-proof. Future-proof is good. Also significant of plans. Dun dun dun. Updated the form trait selection with collapsible headers for better organization. Last spec filtered for unknown realm traits are saved in the player settings. Unknown realm trait complexity is now stored in the custom realm template. Added province effects to the outpost screen. Added a new province effects section under province tab in the city. You can now open the sector information screen on sectors owned by free cities. Oh. I was about to get really excited here, but it's not what I thought it was. Added a countdown timer to the hero overview button. Is this for when we can recruit the next hero? We reworked the existing counter on the Rally of Leeches button to function as a countdown timer. Prospecting pins are now able to be drawn on provinces with a province-dominant structure. Okay. Income breakdowns for SPIs now take into account adjacent landmarks and other income properties. Is this broken? Just the combat log positioning slightly to the left. I appreciate them logging everything, but, sure. The enemy cast a spell notification in combat now includes a description of the spell that was cast. Fantastic. Added the top bar being visible when the spellbook is open, allowing you to see how many mana and casting points you have. Excellent. The combat overview screen will now show active combat effects as well as combat properties that are part of the combat setup. In combat replays, disabled the load game button in in-game menu, removed exit game button in in-game menu, added an exit replay button, relabeled the X button to exit replay, and renamed the close button in the radio menu to exit replay. Fair enough. Item forges. Item forge blueprints are now separated into Pantheon blueprints, quest blueprints, and forge blueprints. Thank you! So when you go to make, go to the blueprint screen to make something you've already made, like, for example, the bonus world map healing miscellaneous item, you had to scroll through all of the Pantheon blueprints to get to what you wanted to make. Now, there's just tabs. Fantastic. Disenchanting items from the arsenal now supports multi-select. Yes! Finally! This is now the best change in the notes. Added Dispel Magic Infusion for wards and staffs. Added Greater Dispel Magic Infusions for wards and staff requiring 2 Astral Dew. Replaced Infusion status effect immunity with Infusion Unyielding. When playing as the Primal Culture, you will now be able to infuse the Summon Totem animal skill of your culture into a staff in the Item Forge. Just in time for me to stop playing Primal. Rebalance dual weapon damage to be more consistent. Fantastic. Warclaws now have visual effects. Physical damage. Eldritch Sovereign weapons now have defense bypass, but lower the damage a bit from 16 to 14. Fair enough. Cloud in a Bottle is now marked as a debuff ability and not a magical attack. Great. Hey, there's modding changes. I don't know what any of this means. But, for those that do, tabs in the resource editor can now be reordered. Added a debug setting for copying a faction in the advanced faction settings. Faction _2 _clip equals false. This allows you to copy your entire faction data and paste it in a lord definition in the modding tools. Does this mean we can make our own lords as a mod? And I can share it? Someone has... I think I've gotten 2 requests to make a character and, like, share the characters I've made. Will this let me do that? I don't know anything about modding, I'm sorry. Improved loading times on level ed maps. Copy, cut, paste support for structures and markers in level ed. Added support for the player RMG property region that allows you to override the starting region of a player or spawn an additional region for a player. Fixed a bug where the modded checkbox would replicate itself whenever the resource browser is refreshed. I'm sure these are all great changes. Just gonna believe that. Multiplayer! Hot seat games will now show the victory defeat screen for every human player. The ascension screen will only be shown for the main victor. Fixed an issue where the game could not continue if a player abandoned the game while the other players were online. Fixed a frequent out of sync after combat retries. I was about to say there's not an out of sync fix here. But there it is. We will never, ever have a patch note of multiplayer without an out of sync fix. It is eternal. Onboarding. That's a word. Added the bedrock, underground water, gloom, and gloom terror terrain. Features to the terrain section of the Tome of Wonders. If this is the encyclopedia. Adjusted the description of ashland, snow, and sand to be consistently mentioned that a hut can be built, unless the city has the correct adaptation tree, in which case it can build the farm. The province feature concept now mentions that certain improvements allowed by province features can only be built if the province feature shares the same geographic type as the center of the province. For example, you cannot build fisher farms in provinces with land in the center, even if it has the coast feature. Yes? The ice province feature now explains it allows the construction of a hut. Great. Pantheon added the miscellaneous realm trait blocked undergrounds. Ooh, can we finally turn off the underground? Mutually exclusive with Export of Underground, Small Underground, Crystal Dwelling, Legends of Merida, and Iron Emperor. Considered a complex realm trait and reveal itself on turn 1 on unknown realms. So in Age of Wonders 3, I actually turned off the underground for the most part. And it looks like we can do that again. This was a feature, I'm actually surprised it took this long to be added, because this is in some of the story realms. So, surprised. But it's here. DLC Pantheon reward trees will now be shown underneath each other to save space. Because they're planning to add more! Pantheon reward, Titan's Great Bow. Damage reduced from base 16 to 14. Aww. Damage progression on the item forge reduced from 4 to 3 per item tier. Optimal range, the max range before it loses accuracy, reduced from 4 to 3. Increased the accuracy from 70 to 80%. Scattershot, True Shot, and Snapshot now use 80%, 240%, and 80% respectively. Of the base damage of the Great Bow from 50%, 150%, and 50%. So, wasn't the whole point of the Great Bow to have more base damage, but be less accurate? I mean, I guess they're buffing the ranger's skills with it, but that feels a little odd. Were people breaking the game with this? I haven't even tried it. But okay. Tomes! Ah! What we have waited for. The Astral Tome. By the way, there have been a few changes to some balance things already. So, we'll go over that once we're done here. Tomes. Astral. The Tome of Evocation. Unit enchantment Lightning Blades. Extra damage against electrified targets decreased from 20% to 10%. Really? World Map spell Lightning Torrent. Reduce lightning resistance from -3 to -1. Wow! Okay. This and the wet nerf is just like, slap. Was this too strong? Tome of Warding. Combat spell Static Shield now affects a second friendly unit. Good buff. Tome of Warding is not very popular, I don't think, but it's not as exciting, you know, as Evocation. Tome of Scrying. The unit enchantment Guided Projectiles now also increases optimal range by 1, reducing long range penalties. You shouldn't have. That was already the main reason to go Tome of Scrying. Remote spell Scry enemy no longer counts as a hostile spell and reduced duration from 15 to 10 turns. Okay. The city structure Tower of True Sight, additional effects, plus 10 city stability and 10 knowledge income? My goat. This is what gives, is it +6 range? Vision range? Fantastic. Tome of Scrying did need a buff. I wasn't expecting this type of buff, but I'm down. Tome of Amplification. The unit Amplification Pylon. Lightning Blast increased damage from 20 to 25. Lightning Blast increased range from 4 to 6. Wow. Combat spell Chain Lightning increased inflicted stack of Electrified from 1 to 2. Not too shabby. The Tome of Amplification is all about placing down the pylons to deal increased spell damage to then rip, damaging spells. So this is quite good. Good buffs. Tome of Teleportation. The unit Phase Beast Displacement now teleports the unit 3 hexes away from the enemy. Phase removed. Cooldown. I still hate Displacement, but 3 hexes is better than 2. And no cooldown on Phase sounds unfair. Okay. Unit Enchantment, Phasing Enchantment to replace Phase with Charge Phase. Charge Phase, teleport to target hex and gain 2 turns of static charge. Isn't this versus Battle Mages and supports only? Combat spell Emergency Teleportation. Additional effect removes all negative status effects from the target. Are we seeing a trend where we're adding more ways to remove debuffs? Because I have questionable feelings about this. The city structure Astral Trade Relay. Increased gold income per Astral Trade Relay in the Empire from 2 to 4. Great. Tome of the Astral Mirror. The Mirror Mimic. Mimic increased the range from 4 to 6 and removed the cooldown. Now keeps their rank after transforming. Now regains 30 health when it transforms back. If the unit transforms to a unit with more hit points than it has, it will now heal to match that unit's hit point level. Interesting. It didn't mention anything about the power scaling, so I wonder if that's still the case. Where, like, if it mimics a unit that's a lower tier than it, it gets stronger. And if it mimics a unit that's a higher tier than it, it gets weaker. Huh. The fact that it keeps its rank is really scary. This song, by the way, is the iconic Age of Wonders theme music. It's so good. Alright. Combat spell. Summon Astral Reflection. Reduced casting costs from 150 mana 50 casting points to 100 mana 40 casting points. Ooh. And the city structure, the Throne of Mirrors, now applies to all battles in the domain. That's summon a copy of your lord, I think. Okay. Big buffs, big buffs. Tome of the Stoneborn, the world map spell Downpour, slowed now only affects flying units. Aww. Reduce casting points, or casting cost, from 80 mana 60 CP to 60 mana and 60 combat casting points. Interesting. I just realized I should not have abbreviated that, but for the record, I meant casting points. It's like that old Twitter meme. Do not abbreviate Cyberpunk! The combat spell, Lightning Storm, increased damage from 10 to 20. Ooh. That's a good change. Tome of the Archmage, unit enchantment, Cosmic Overdrive, reduced damage increase from 30% to 20%. Aww. That's fine. I'm almost surprised they didn't nerf the Disruption Wave. Pretty sure Tome of the Archmage is banned still in some multiplayer games because of Tome of Disruption Wave. For Chaos, the Tome of Pyromancy. The unit enchantment, Searing Blades, extra damage against burning targets decreased from 20% to 10%. I'm sensing a trend here. The Tome of the Mayhem, the Gremlin. A displacement is now 3 hexes away instead of 2. Okay. Tome of the Demon Gate, world map spell, Fight for Power. Now allows the player to choose the demon they get from the recruitment window. Ooh. Okay. This is when you pick 2 Fiend units and you get them to fight. Excuse me, 2 Infernal Fiend units. And you get them to fight, and then you can recruit a Fiend of a higher tier. And now you get to pick, apparently. Tome of Calamity, the Accursed Trickster. Maddening Phantasm can no longer be used when engaged, and reduce chance to inflict insanity from 120 to 90%. This thing needed to be nerfed, so that's okay. Unit enchantment, Accursed Projectiles. Reduce damage from +2 fire and +2 frost to +1 fire and +1 frost. Increased chance to inflict ghost fire from 60% to guaranteed. Effects increased for single shot abilities. Wait, how does that get increased? Do they do 2 ghost fire instead of 1? The increased enchantment upkeep from 2 gold 3 mana to 3 gold 4 mana. And the unit enchantment, Accursed Armors, increased enchantment upkeep from 2 gold 3 mana to 3 gold 4 mana. Okay, so I'm sensing a trend of nerfing enchantments, which kind of makes sense, right? Enchantments have classically always been very strong. And it's part of why mythic units feel so weak, because they aren't affected by most forms of enchantments. Materium, the Tome of Enchantment. Unit enchantment Sundering Blades change the base 90% chance to inflict thunder defense to guaranteed. The Tome of Artificing, unit enchantment Artisan Blades reduce critical chance from 30% to 25%. It needed that. Tome of the Construct, the combat spell Cascading Command Defense has been reworked. It no longer gives the unit Watchful and Enter Defense mode. It now gives Defensive Masters and removes 2 negative status effects. Okay. Alright. This kind of reminds me of, everyone was complaining about the Umbral Demon's ability to remove a negative status effect every turn. They eat one and heal up. It's Curse Eater, I think. They had to nerf it so that if the Umbral Demon was burning, it no longer works. And now it kind of feels like, hey, we know that this ability upsets you. This frustrates our community. So now everyone's going to get a variant of it. Alright. I hope I'm making a bigger deal out of this than it actually is. I hope. Unit enchantment Compounding Defense now also affects fighters. Okay. Tome of the Crucible. I think it was supposed. That makes sense. The Tome of the Crucible, city structure of the Crucible battlements, removed the +1 fire damage on draft units of the city. Aww. Added immunity to city stability penalty from having lava or chasm in its domain. Ooh. Okay, so they removed the combat boon, but added an economic boon. That's actually really good, because otherwise, this will allow what are the restrictions again? There's a few very specific restrictions to not being penalized by having a lava province, and now this basically opens up to anyone, at least as long as you're going Materium. Or using Unbound Tomes. Tome of the Creator, the unit Earth Shatter Engine. Earth Shatter now deals 20 physical damage to units, and increased speed from slow to medium. Good. Nice. The Earth Shatter Engine is the best siege engine in the game. For the Tomes of Nature. Tome of Roots, the unit enchantment Blight Blades. Extra damage against poison or decaying targets decreased from 20% to 10%. I'm sensing a trend. When seen in the unit panel, it now correctly states that it deals increased damage to decay units. I didn't even know it did that. Okay. The combat spell Vine Prison. Living Vine base HP reduced from 10 to 5, and Living Vine tier type changed to Expendable Summon, resulting in 5 HP per rank rather than 10. How many times has Vine Prison been nerfed? This is the 3rd time? I think this is the 3rd time. Fair enough. Tome of Beasts, the unit Wild Speaker. Summoned animal will now use any enchantment the unit has active. Nice. Conjure Animal changed from once per battle to a 4-turn cooldown. Conjure Animal now puts the Wild Speaker into defense mode after use, and Conjure Animal can now summon from a wider variety of animals. And Unleash the Beast now also applies +2 regeneration. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for an Empowered Beast run. That's what I'm thinking. World Map spell. Summon Wild Animal, renamed to Call Wild Animal. When cast, you get a choice of 3 to 4 animals based on your selected location. It's no longer random! Yep. It's time for an Empowered Beast run. 1 animal from the list can be chosen. Higher tier animals incur an additional mana cost. That makes sense. So is this... I'm assuming there's still Call Greater Animal, right? Well, keep reading, we'll find out. Tome of Fertility, the unit Floral Stinger. Increased HP from 70 to 80. Removed Slowed. When was it slowed? Melee Strike now has a 60% to inflict Constricted. Ooh, they're spreading out the constriction. Melee Strike changed from 10 physical damage to 4 Blight, 9 physical damage. Poisonous Spores changed from a 2-turn cooldown to no cooldown. Poisonous Spores changed from 20 Blight damage to 10 physical, 10 Blight. Big buffs for our little waltzing flower. Okay. Structure, the Tome of Fertility increased draft income per population from 1 to 2. Literally doubled it. Tome of Cycles. My goat, the Druid of the Cycle. Poison Blast has been renamed to Decaying Blast, which also now has a 90% to inflict decaying, and Life from Death now triggers on killing friendly units. Is this a nerf? It might be. Unit enchantment blooming projectiles? No. No. It's a new enchantment. Base magical and range physical attacks gain a 60% chance to apply Life Seed for 3 turns. When the debuff unit dies, all adjacent friendly units heal 20 health. What? And deal 10% damage to units with decaying. I was going to say, does that mean Projectiles of Decay has been reworked? Renamed to Blades of Decay, the enchantment now applies to melee units instead of magic and ranged ones. No longer gives +2 blight damage, but basic attacks are guaranteed to inflict decaying. Single shot, apply 2 stacks. Okay, so they're kind of repurposing the Tome of Cycles. Not bad. The roadmap spell Cycle of Seasons can now be used on any city, and the combat spell Diffuse Health inflict decaying stacks from 1 to 2, and increase the application stacks of regeneration from 1 to 2. Wait, did it even apply those before? I thought it just did damage and then healed your allies. I have Diffuse Health in my Blint playthrough. Huh. Okay, cool. Life Seed is very interesting. Okay, we'll see how this works out. Tome of Vigor. The world map spell Summon Wild Animal has been renamed to Call Greater Animal. When cast, you get a choice of 3 to 4 animals based on your location. 1 animal can be chosen from the list, and the higher tier animals incur an additional mana cost. The combat spell Totem of the Wild now lasts for 2 turns, and now summons 1 animal instantly when the spell is cast, and 1 additional unit per turn. Can now summon tier 2 units as well as tier 1 animals. It's time for a Greater Beast playthrough. Some of the Goddess of Nature, unit enchantment Force of Nature, blight damage decrease from 4 to 3, critical chance decrease from 20% to 15%. I saw that coming. Wow. Okay. I didn't expect a buff to the Beast build, but here we are. Order, the Tome of Faith. The unit chaplain moved to the Tome of the Beacon. Oh, they removed the port. Wow. Ah. A new Warmap spell, Summon Lesser Light Spirit. A tier 1 support that is celestial, elemental, and magical origin. Condemning Blast, range 4, 16 spirit damage, 90% to inflict condemned. And Lesser Heal, range 4, heals for 20 temporary hit points, remove 2 negative status effects. Inspiring Killer, and Zeal. What the actual... Is this the strongest tier 1 spirit? I think it is. This guy's kind of cracked. Tome of the Beacon, the unit Lightbringer has been moved to... They moved the fish to the Inquisition Tome? Why? Okay. The Chaplain, ignore the spelling, moved from the Tome of Fate, is now a tier 3 unit. Ooh, tier 3 support. Bless changed from a single action to a free action. Healing Prayer increased temporary HP from 30 to 45. Ooh, this puts it up par with the Overseer. And Healing Prayer reduced cooldown from 2 turns to 1. 45 health every other turn. Not too shabby. Combat spell Conjure Divine Beacon. Increase HP from 60 to 80. Increase defense from 1 to 2. Increases from 1 to 2. Divine Beacon's Grace increased temporary HP healing from 5 to 15. They tripled it. To be fair, this was a pretty awful spell. I've used it, but wasn't very good. Roadmap spell Blessed Reinforcements has been reworked. Renamed to Summon Blessed Souls, allow the direct summoning of a tier 3 Blessed Soul unit to your side. The Blessed Soul unit now has Faithful. Is it just the one that's summoned, or do all Blessed Souls have Faithful? That's probably a good change. This used to be, it was summon 2 Blessed Souls to a free city. Vassal. That's a good change. Unit enchantment Mighty Meek now also affects tier 2 units. Reduce enchantment upkeep from 3 mana and 2 gold to 3 mana. No gold requirement. Additional effects grants 2 state resistance to affected units, on top of giving them Faithful. Interesting. I'm not sure if this is still good. In a tremendous sense of irony, Mighty Meek was actually the best with an undead build. Because all skeletons are Mighty Meek, you know? Might have to test that out. Tome of the Inquisition now has the Lightbringer. The Lightfish, as I like to call it. Removed from the Tome of the Beacon, and now has a 90% chance to inflict Condemned on its Spirit Bolts. Not too shabby. Inquisitor's Mark now affects all attacks, not just base attacks. Remove the slowed effect, and increase the chance to condemn from 30% to 60%, and increase the chance to weaken from 30% to 60%. Okay. This was the unit enchantment that had a 30% chance to slow, condemn, and weaken. I guess they removed the slow. You know, that was my favorite part, because it was funny. Tome of Sanctuary. Added a new world map spell, Summon Light Spirits. Oh no. Tier 3 support, Celestial Elemental, Magic Origin, and Large Target. Okay, so it can be shanked to death. Condemning Blast, range 4, 30 spirit damage, inflicts condemn. Brilliant Phase, range 4, 10 spirit damage, inflicts blind, teleport to target hex. Does it blind around itself, like the fire guy? Or does it blind on teleport? I would imagine it blinds when it, like around it when it teleports away. Heal, range 4, heals for 60 temporary hit points, removes all negative status effects. Okay, alright. Inspiring Killer, Zeal, and Demolisher. Wow. I gotta be honest, the strongest spirit being the Order one was not on my bingo card. But I think it is. I do like the Stone Spirit for like a YOLO summon. Can this be YOLO summoned? Summons were changed, right? How they work. City structure, healing spires, additional effect, plus density stability, and reduce production cost from 750 production 200 gold to 200 production 85 gold. Wow, this thing could just be boosted out then. Okay, probably a good change. The only downside is healing spires removes the like catapults and whatnot, which are actually pretty good now that you can control them. But it's probably worth it just for the city's ability, to be honest. Tome of Subjugation. Okay, we were promised that the Tyrant Knight was getting buffed in this patch. So let's see what they had, what they're cooking. New ability, Oppress, a full action, range 3. 90% chance to reduce morale by 25, on failure reduces morale by 10, and always inflicts 2 status vulnerability. $25 morale loss is a heckin' lot. I will say that. New passive, the Armor of Despair. This unit has +1 defense and resistance per level below low morale an attacker has. And the new passive, Unyielding. At the start of turn, remove 1 negative status effect. Okay. Interesting. So you really want to pair the Tyrant Knight with the Tome of the Harbinger, or whatever it's called. Interesting. Alright, we'll have to test this out. I was expecting a few stat changes, but could be good. City structure, Baron's Palace. Draft now applies to the city it is built in. Increase draft income from 10 to 20. Increase food income for the Throne City from 10 to 20. Additional effect, Throne City generates +5 Imperium. Ooh, okay. Wait a minute. How does this work with... Is the music... Okay. How does this work with... vassals? So if you capture a vassal city... Alright, you capture an opposing city, build the Baron's Palace, then release it as a vassal. Would this still technically work? Interesting. I'll have to test it out. Tome of the Cleansing Flame. Tome passive Cleansing Flame Herald has been removed. Goodbye. The unit Pyre Templar. Reduce fire resistance from 6 to 4, and Fire Cleave. Remove the 90% chance to inflict burning. Nerfs for the Templar. Okay, he kind of deserved it. Unit Enchantment Flame Blessed Champions. No longer needs 5 stacks of burning to place Cleansing Flame. Now places Cleansing Flame on attack. Oh. Consecrating Firestorm. Can now be used on any province, only pillaging enemy-owned provinces. No longer applies Condemned, and now applies the Cleansing Flame Herald to the province. I see how they're changing it. Okay. The special province improvement Temple of the Pyre applies Flame Herald's consecration to all combat in the domain. Okay. Cleansing Flame Herald kind of was odd after they changed how the heroes worked. I guess this is a good way to go about it. This was the combat map passive that made it so that any burning terrain was turned into Cleansing Flame. Is this overall a nerf? We'll have to see. Tome of Supremacy. The unit Exemplar. Embolden allies no longer starts on cooldown. Embolden allies enter defense mode after use. And the new passive Graceful Defense. Gain a stack of Grace upon entering defense mode. That's a good buff. The Exemplar was kind of weak. That's the Eagle Rider boy. Tome of Exaltation. The Shrine of Smiting. This is going to need a buff to compete with the Astra. New passive Zeal. New passive Distracting Aura. At the start of the turn, adjacent enemy units become distracted. And at champion rank, now gains +1 range to Smiting Prayer Blasts. Okay. Can I take back what I said about needing a buff to compete with the Astra? Please. That's its full action. So positioning is really important for the Shrine of Smiting, but now it just gets +1 range, which I think is going to fix a lot of complaints. My personal complaints, anyway. It does have to be champion rank, though. Oh, wow. Combat spell Resurrect unit. The reduced casting cost from 150 to 140. Not too shabby. Resurrected units now come back with 3 action points instead of 1. Big deal there. And for the Tome of Prosperity, the enchantment for Blessed Armors increased the enchantment upkeep from 2 gold 3 mana to 3 gold 4 mana, just like the Accursed Armor. Fair enough. And now for Shadow. The Tome of Cryomancy, the Frostblade enchantment, extra damage against frozen slowed. Targets decreased from 20% to 10%. I'm sensing a trend here. Tome of Necromancy, unit enchantment Necrotic Magic. Renamed Necrotic Projectiles, additionally applies to skirmisher and ranged units. Now applies to all attacks. Good. The unit Necromancer, Frost Blast, changed to Death Blast, 9 Frost, 9 Blight, and the combat spell Rotting Explosion now guarantees to inflict decaying. The combat spell Necrotize increased decaying stacks from 1 to 2, and the unit Skeletons now gain Resurgence on champion rank. Okay. I've seen a few comments on the tier 4 tome video I did. They're basically, I don't know if complaining is the right word, basically saying it was weird that the tier 4 tome had stuff to do with skeletons. But I mean, that's kind of very strong. Especially, the tier 4 tome is going to let you, the Tome of the Revenants is going to let you recruit skeletons in your city. So if you have the Smithing Guild and various other buffs, you can pretty much recruit them at champion rank. And they'll have a Resurgence. Alright. Pretty good. Tome of the Tentacle. Unit enchantment Constricting Focus. Additional effect. 60% to inflict constricted on units with marked or slowed. Huh. Okay. Combat spell Contra Tentacle. The unit Tentacle now has the correct version of the fighter unit type and gains Brawler on golden rank. How do you Contra Tentacle to a gold rank? I don't know. I'm still perplexed about the Constricting Focus. Isn't that just a 60% chance in general to inflict Constricted? Or is it like an additional 60% chance? Whatever. The Tome of Souls. Empire bonus. Bone Horror Reanimation. Bone Horrors can now be created by killing 4 tiers worth of tier 1 to 3 units. Increased soul cost from 50 to 70. Oh. Okay. That's interesting. Unit enchantment Soulbinders reduced extra damage against Soulbind units from 20% to 10%. Combat spell Soul Overflow reduced negative status effect removed from all to 2. Fair, I guess. They're keeping it with the tier. The warm-up spell Summoned Corrupt Soul moved from here to Tome of the Doom Herald. Doom Herald, that's what it's called, not Harbinger. Warm-up spell Summon Banshee moved from Tome of the Doom Herald to here. Oh, so they're changing skills. I thought the Banshee was well placed in Tome of the Doom Herald, but whatever. Change casting points from 150 mana. Casting points to 45 souls. 90 casting points, okay. Warm-up spell Restore Undead Army. Change name to Feast of Souls. Restores 20 HP to all non-undead units and restores 40 HP to undead units. Cost increased from 15 souls, 20 casting points to 20 souls, 60 casting points. Okay. Feel like it could be difficult at tier 2. Would you have enough souls to be able to rip a Banshee summon? Could be a little tricky. Tome of the Doom Herald. The world map spell Summon Banshee has been moved. The world map spell Summon Corrupt Soul has been moved here. And the combat casting points has changed from 45 souls and 90 casting points to 150 mana casting points. Okay. So The Banshee now takes souls, but the Corrupt Soul now takes mana. Alright. Unit Corrupt Soul, melee strike, increased morale drain from -3 to -4. Passive, Shadow, replaced with Fleeting and Slippery. Passive, Hopelessness, renamed to Armor of Despair. It's slippery now. Some of the Great Transformation, the Empire bonus Bone Dragon Reanimation. Bone Dragons can now also be acquired from killing Tier 4 non-racial units. Big change. Previously this was only Tier 5s. The Bone Dragon Putrid Breath, changed from inflicting 1 poison, 1 decay to inflicting 2 decaying. Some of the Cold Dark, unit Snow Spirits. Freezing Phase has been renamed to Chilling Phase. Chilling Phase no longer has a chance to inflict slow, instead a 90% chance of inflicting... no longer has a chance to inflict frozen, instead has a 90% chance of inflicting slowed. Oh, they're nerfing the Snow Spirit. It was kind of really annoying when it just went in there and froze you, but... okay. Tome of Corruption, the unit Umbral Mistress. Unchained Mind can no longer be used in the same turn as Enchained Mind. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but sure. Combat spell, Corrupted Boon, changed from 1 hex AoE to a single target spell. Reduce casting points from 45 mana, 30 casting points, 20 mana, 25 casting points. It's a pretty big nerf, I think. City Structure, Throne of Insidious Whispers, reduce casting points given from 20 to 15. Minor nerf. Tomb of Oblivion, the Living Fog, has the new ability Call the Void, a single action range 2 ability which spawns Devouring Void in a 1 hex radius. My goat. New passive, Hazard Immunity, Devouring Void. Okay, so we can spawn this on himself. That's interesting. Combat spell, Devouring Void, now also makes units lose 3 morale. That's a nice buff for the Living Fog. I wonder if they've kind of kept the Living Fog under the radar. I mean, he is very annoying, right? But his equivalent is the Shadow Stalker from Age of Wonders 3, which is one of the most oppressive bullshit units in all the rosters. So I wonder if there's still a little bit of PTSD from keeping this guy from being too strong. Tomb of Severing. Combat spell, Astral Severance. Increased action decaying from 1 to 4. I gotta be honest, I'm not sure I could tell you what this is. I know what tome this is. This is the one that, like, you eat corpses or something off the map, but... okay. Tome of the Eternal Lord. Unit enchantment, True Death Magic. Curse the Reaper starts on a 1-turn cooldown. Fair. Curse Reaper increase range from 3 to 4, and reduce cooldown from 4 to 3. Oh, so they made it better. Got it. World Map spell, Raise Undead Army, now always summons 2 tier 2, 2 tier 3, 2 tier 2, and 2 tier 1 undead units. This is a buff. This used to be only skeletons. And the combat spell, Battlefield Reanimation, resurrected units come back to life with 1 AP, and reduce the casting points from 50 souls, 80 casting points, to 50 souls, 65 casting points. Okay. Good. All buffs. Units. The rank Elite no longer gives 10% extra damage. Ooh, big nerf. Unit abilities that apply Frozen now apply status vulnerability on failure instead of slowed. Aww. And you can see the list here: the Accursed Blade, the Frost Dragon, Frost Giant, Frost Wyvern, the Ice Runestone, the Ice Spider, the Ice Spider Matriarch, the Lesser Snow Spirit, the Primal Mammoth, the Scourge of Winter, the Spell Shield, School of Potential, and the White Witch. I always felt that Frozen made sense, or slowed made sense if you didn't get Frozen, but okay. Applying status vulnerability just makes it more likely they're going to get Frozen next time. Pestilent Escape and Disengaging Shot now count as movement abilities and get correctly disabled by Immobilize. Okay. The unit Scourge of Spring Phantom Charge now guarantees decaying instead of being a 90% chance. I almost forgot about the Scourges, I'm not going to lie. The Pestilence Crocodile main attack now guarantees decaying. It's so rare to see this unit. And the Flow Serpents. Increased hit points. Increased hit point increase from 25 to 35. Removed Astral Refuge and new passive Prescient Phase. When hit by an attack, gain precognition. Thank you. This is fine. I'll take this change. It was so annoying when these little shitbags would teleport in and then be immune. You hit them once, they go immune, and you have to wait a whole turn before you can kill them again. Now, you have to deal with precognition, which is fine. Support updates. Most support units now have a special champion upgrade that boosts the power of one of their secondary abilities. Where applicable, these upgrades focus on boosting the healing power of the unit, so late game healing is more viable. Okay, so they borrowed the changes to the battle mages they made and gave them to supports as well. So the Animus, we're actually using this in our current playthrough, added champion spiritual healing, increased the temporary hit points from 20 to 30, reduced the cooldown from 2 to 1. Oh, that's so big for cheesing. Remember, their heal is not just a heal, it also grants 3 blessing of their primordial spirit. Wow. The Astral unit, or excuse me, the Astral Keeper, champion Astral Blessing, increased the healing from 25 to 40, and gains the ability to dispel 1 negative status effect. The Bannerman, this is the feudal healing boy, champion Soothing Standard, increased the temporary healing from 25 to 35, adds the removal of 1 negative status effect. The Blessed Dragon is champion Graceful Rain, increases temporary hit points from 50 to 20, increases grace stacks from 1 to 2. The Chaplain, is this actually spelled correctly? I think this is correct, and it was IA before, right? Whatever. The Champion Healing Prayer increases temporary hit points from 45 to 65, and grants Enter Defenseman after use. The Deep Sea Nemu, which I don't think I have ever actually seen. Champion Nemu Soothing, increase temporary hit points from 20 to 40, increase generation from 2 to 3. The Druid of the Cycle, champion Restart the Cycle, increase temporary hit points from 70 to 100, increase the Resurrection healing from 70% to 100%, additionally gains 10% damage to all abilities. That's my goat. Unit Litharine Core, added champion Core Link, increase the damage reduction from 20 to 30%, and grant 10% damage to the linked target. Ooh, it's a big buff. The Necromancer is champion Strengthen Undead, increase Strengthen from 2 to 3, and the target gains plus 15 temporary hit points. Good. The Necromancer is very unique in that he's the only support that doesn't heal. This is good. The unit Nymph, added champion Revitalize, increases the regeneration from 2 to 4, reduces the cooldown from 3 to 2. Oh, that's so good. The Overseer, champion Patch Up, increases temporary hit points from 45 to 60, and gains the ability to dispel 2 negative status effects. The Pyromoth, champion Burning Dust, increase the damage from 18 to 22, increase second burning from 1 to 2, so this actually gets a buff to its damage. And the Primordial Pyromoth, good old Mothra, added Exalted Resistance. When the unit enters defense mode, adjacent friendly units gain bolstered resistance. Okay. The Scald, my girl, added Champion Song of Carnage, enters defense mode after use, and Champion Song of Revelry, increase generation from 2 to 3, and enters defense mode after use. Not the biggest buffs for her, but that's okay. Unit Soother, this is the Mystic Healer, added Champion Soothing Breeze, increased the temporary hit points from 20 to 30, reduced the cooldown from 2 to 1. I already really liked the Soother, because she has a baseline AoE heal, but man, I guess you'd more accurately call it a bouncing healer, right? Unit the Spring Fairy, added Champion Budding Strength, gain plus 3 random positive status effects. I don't like the Spring Fairy, but okay. Additionally, gains Fey Growth by default. Maybe I'll like her now. The Steel Shaper, this is the industrious healer. Added Champion Gift of Steel, gains plus 2 bolster resistance. Bah. The Summer Fairy, added Champion Blooming Life, increased regeneration from 1 to 3, reduced the cooldown from 3 to 2. That's what I'm talking about for a fairy. The Unit Summoner, this is the Tier 3 Mystic Summoning School unit. Added Champion Spirit Summon Dormant. The Summon Spirit gains plus 2 strength. Okay. Unit Sun Priest, this is the High Culture Healer. Added Champion Mending Awakening, increased the temporary hit points from 30 to 45, and reduced the cooldown from 2 to 1. This cooldown change, I think, is going to be huge. Unit Vow Keeper, this is the Ways of War Culture. I know what they're called. Strife. Harmony. Righteousness. Oathbound. Added Champion Vow of Healing, increased temporary hit points from 25 to 40. Unit War Shaman, added Champion Invigorate. This is the Barbarian healer. Increased regeneration from 1 to 2, increased strength from 1 to 2, reduced the cooldown from 2 to 3. This guy also can cleanse now, by the way. Don't forget that. And Unit Wild Speaker, added Champion Conjure Animal, increased the summon unit tier from 1 to 2. My goodness gracious. These are going to be very good, I think. Is this enough for me to not cut support units in the final stages of the game? Maybe. World Map. Improved random leader selection to improve the distribution between surface and underground. whatever. Improved calculation of the amount of viable sectors on map that override the water with a land theme. Updated how the RMG finds player balls, region sectors to make them work properly with custom region starts and story realms. Improved the, I'm assuming it was just random map generator. Generation that relies on player positions for story realms. Updated coastal map generation to have a number of islands in the water. Defensive city upgrades are now removed when the city is occupied instead of when migrate, integrate, absorb finishes. Defensive city upgrades are now removed. Isn't this going to be really annoying for, like, the abandoned strat? It's probably fine. Allies can now start a sally out siege battle. When attacking, friendly armies on defensive structures can now be pulled into battle. When defending, friendly armies on defensive structures will still not be pulled into battle. Okay. When a unit is spawned on a pickup, it will now pick it up. Fighting on a road in lava now loads the chasm map. Oh my. And we've made it finally to fixes. I gotta be honest, fixes are great, but I'm not gonna read through them. So, let's skip fixes. Here they are. They're all beautiful. I love fixes. They're great. But here's some happenings. Cosmic. Fix zombies created by the Melenis Kiss event not working correctly. They could regenerate. And not being detected by the end of the event for sacrifice and or keeping. Cool. Intrigue. Fix an issue where declaring a war whilst in a fixed relationship with an AI player would lock the players in an improvable defensive pact instead. Oh. Heroes. Ascended Possession now applies Berserk to the target instead of Insanity, reducing the chance that they'll attack the caster instead of the enemy. Fixed issue where Blessed Judgment from the Eldritch Sovereign was applying debuffs to friendly units. Fixed Rangers slip away. Oh, these are still fixes. They're just fixes of various types. Fix an issue where a quest would not get the right alias if starting the quest would cause you to meet a free city. Interesting. When drafting Inferno Hounds in cities, their cost would be equivalent to a Tier 2 unit. This has been fixed. Dragoon, fixed fleeting, not preventing the unit from being pinned in an enemy zone of controls. Good. Some Fae didn't actually ignore the penalty of the mist effect, and now they do. You'll have to see it. Alright. This is the main patch notes. Again, if you want to read... if you want to read this for yourself, you can find it in the description down below. But there has been an update. Quite literally. A little bit ago. So... optimized AI processing during end turn. This probably helps with the end turn times. Combat, damage reflection now bypasses unit defenses. Oh, the Thorns build is a go. Culture, the primal culture, always use an animal way to the subculture when summoning animals. Always? Interface, this could be... I mean, always seeing an animal, like in the pool, is different than always getting an animal, right? I hope this doesn't restrict the primal cultures to just, spawning spiders or just spawning wolves or what have you. Interface, Unknown Realms now only fill 4 realm trait slots instead of all 8. Story Realms, disabled rulers are always at end of list during faction selection. That's cool. There have been some tome changes. The Tome of the Astral Mirror, the combat spell Summon Astral Reflection, reverted casting costs back. Okay. Materium Tome of the Creator, unit the Earth Titan, increased resistance from 5 to 6, now has Heavy Charge Strike, and is summoned with all 3 action points. Great changes. Nature. Tome of Beast, the Wild Speaker. Conjure Animal, reduce the duration of the animal summons from 4 to 3. And being 4 was probably a bug. Tome of the Stoneborn, the unit Stormbringer, reverted defenses back from 3 to 4. And the Throw Trident reverted damage back from 10-10 to 12-12. Good. The Tome of Prosperity, the unit Prosperity Dragon, Reign of Prosperity, increased cooldown from 1 to 2 turns. Probably necessary. And the Tome of the Goddess of Nature, combat spell Mass Rejuvenation, resurrect units return with 1 AP. Alright. Order. The Tome of Zeal, combat spell Inspiring Chant, increased casting points from 20 casting points 50 mana to 25 casting points 30 mana. Sure. From the Inquisition, the unit Inquisitor, melee strike, increased physical damage from 14 to 16, and new ability, Shoot Crossbow. Did the Inquisitor really need to be buffed? These are the questions of our lifetime. Tome of Supremacy, the Exemplar, increased HP from 110 to 120, and changed from fast to very fast movement. Okay, I'm still happy with that buff. The combat spell Anthem of Victory reduced casting points From 65 casting points, 200 mana to 50 casting points, 150 mana. The Anthem of Victory. Wow. That wasn't on my bingo card either. Tomb of the God Emperor. Spellmaster Vive. Resurrect units return with 1 AP. Not too shabby. Shadow of the Tome of Oblivion. Devouring Void's damage now bypasses all defenses. Ooh. And the world map updated AI ruler selection to account for the new blocked underground trait. And again, there are some even more fixes, including fixing missing light spirit text. Interesting. Alrighty. Again, here are the fixes if you want to read them. That was a lot. What do I think? What do I think? I am very interested for flaws. I'm kind of surprised there wasn't a culture rework, but I know those take a massive amount of time. Like, reworking a culture is the majority of their time when it comes to a content patch, so I don't blame them for not doing it again. I do think this would have been a good time to rework the high culture, but hey. Maybe someday. All in all, I think these are all very interesting changes. I am a little ever so slightly concerned, ever so slightly, good description, Fabe, of the sheer volume of removing negative status effects that have been added now. There are so many ways to obtain this, and there are a lot of strategies that rely kind of on negative status effects, but we'll see. The decaying change was fantastic. I'm so glad I no longer have to deal with this guaranteed no more healing. That's great. Fantastic change. Item Forge, good changes for the blueprints. I think that I had kind of a lukewarm reaction to it, but I think the ability to create essentially your own presence trait is going to be very fun. I'm already cooking up some ideas for it, but we'll see how it all pans out. I have a feeling it could also just become really tedious, and I just not do it. But my friends, that is the patch notes for the upcoming Griffon update. We are still a little just under a month away from release, and yeah, I don't expect things to really change much between now and release. Just, you know, refining the changes. Maybe some more numerical alterations will come in, and of course focusing on stability, which is their big update. So if you are playing in the open beta, you can find instructions on their post, and be sure to leave their feedback specifically about stability. That's what they're really looking for. Thank you all for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. Feel free to share what you think about the Griffon update, and be sure to join the Discord in the description down below, my Discord, for all future updates and shenanigans. Thank you to the patrons and the channel members who support the channel. I greatly appreciate you. If you'd like to stay up to date with anything happening on the channel, feel free to join the description down below. And I will see you on Thursday, in a humble day or two, for the next Dev Diary.